Emily, over to you. Are you there?
Yep, I'm coming. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Yep, whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Did you want to get the... Oh.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to World of Women podcast, where women thrive. I am so excited to have all of you here again this Tuesday night. And today is March the 15th. And it is an interesting day to have one of my friends come to join us and to share about her life, what she does, and how to support women. As everybody knows, this is all about women. And this podcast, as always, is brought to you by World of Ability Podcast collaboration with Transform U Network and PAC. We are always glad for the opportunity given to us to share about women. And I am all excited, and I know you guys are excited as well. So before we start, I want to read a little bio about Yair. Yair Esther was born to an American mother from Brooklyn, New York, an African father from Ghana. You can see that the United Nations are here, right? Over time, over her life experiences and shedding of other expectations of her and embracing her true identity as a youngster. She was born and raised as a Yankee up into her early 30s, traveled what seemed like a nomadic lifestyle. I'm excited to hear all about that tonight. Drifting from state to state, I've done that as well. From Boston to New York, where she spent her childhood years, to New Jersey, where she spent a troubled years, to Maryland, where she spent the rest of her formative years. As the trifecta tragedy hit in 2008 from losing her mother, sorry about that, her job, and decided not to move forward with her engagement, she opted to Georgia as her new state of residency in hopes of starting over. That's what a determined, resilient woman does. She led a life of going to school up into achieving a dual master's degree in accounting and finance to pursue the career of choice that was chosen for her, an accountant. After several attempts of failing the CPA exams and not feeling fulfilled or making an impact, she decided to take the road least traveled. She relinquished the pursuit of others' happiness to what she has believed and still deems her calling, helping others to gain, restore, and live their best lives through health and fitness. As she helped many to being in their best shape physically and mentally in their lives, she's not exempt from showing up her best self. As a survivor of breast cancer, as she encouraged others to challenge themselves by making small pivots to transforming themselves from the outside to within, she has demonstrated herself to going through many challenges. She remained consistent, which led her to be a marathon runner, placed into bodybuilding competitions, a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, and change behavior specialist. Awesome. To now a woman that helps people transform their lives, their health strategically, the woman you will forever remember by her smile and her infected massive energy. So I am really excited. I'm blessed to bring to you my friend, Yah Star. Please take it away.
Hi everyone. Again, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and just a little bit about me. My name is Yah Astar, and it has been quite the journey I have traveled just to even be in this space. Sharing with you even my story, I have gone through so much, and what keeps me going is what I like to see what would happen. You know, what if? That's always been my question is what if? I had the opportunity, just to kind of give you a little bit of backstory of me, where I am today is, you know, I grew up north, and I grew up in New Jersey, got in trouble a lot, was drinking and not going to school, and just really not hanging out with the appropriate people in order to, you know, that had a future. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I would live to see past 18 based off of my activities that I was doing. So then one day I got arrested by the police in New Jersey, and the police escorted me home, and my mother was like, "You're gonna go live with your dad." And so that's where, you know, I'm very fortunate that I did have an opportunity to live with my father and his family, because it gave me an opportunity to see that there's life beyond what I was living, which was drinking, smoking, getting in trouble in school, things of that nature. But my confidence always suffered. And that's the reason why I always chose either either a drug or alcohol, because I wanted to feel accepted, and I just wanted to find a way to boost my confidence. And that didn't work. And so again, you know, I lived with my my dad and his family, but I still struggled, just feeling accepted. And without going into too much detail, it was just a struggle for me to just even love myself and take care of myself the way that I wanted to. And that's more so on the mental side of things. I grew up with expectations of me to, you know, of course, go to school, get a good job, have a great retirement, things of that nature. And I did do that. I went to school, and by the time I was about to start my master's program, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 27. And so I had to go through treatments. And so when I was done with treatments, I tried again to go to school for my master's. And unfortunately, I've gotten sick again. And so, you know, just trying to live a lifestyle, what I thought people would expect of me, but what I thought was supposed to be, okay, this is the way that you're supposed to do things. Don't go outside of the lines. And so that's what I did. But unfortunately, in 2008, you know, I lost my mom, lost my fiance, lost my job. And so I was, you know, faced with a road, you know, a path of three. It's either Florida, Houston, or Georgia. And for me, I'm a woman of faith. And I said, well, wherever I'm going to grow the most, then that's where I need to go. And so I was led to Atlanta, Georgia. And, I had a job lined up. Everything was lined up for me. Unfortunately, by the time I got here, the economy bottomed out, and so did I with it. And when I say bottomed out, I went back to drinking very, very heavily. I didn't have a job, went through all my savings, was roommating with someone who's also, a bit of a drinker and kind of lead a kind of questionable lifestyle. And so I can remember where, again, I'm going through my life where I'm just not feeling that acceptance, not feeling confident in myself. And I just wasn't sure, what do I do next? And so the only thing I thought to do next was try to attempt to take my life again. And so this was the third time I tried to attempt to take my life again, because I just felt like I was not living my blueprint. Because you see, I set my blueprint for my life when I was 21. And so things weren't going according to what I thought my blueprint was to have a great job, married, kids, dog, all of that. And I didn't have that. So as we fast forward to 2008, I can remember I sat in the room and I just had a bottle of pills, and I just had a bottle of wine. And I said, well, God, if you have a will for me, a purpose for me, then allow me to wake up the next day. Because at that point, I felt just so despaired. I felt that there really wasn't nothing else left for me to live for. My mother had passed away. My number one cheerleader had passed away. So now what do I do? Absolutely nothing. And just, try to find a way to join her. I woke up the next day and I said, oh shit, okay, well, what do we do now? So at that time, I had massive, massive, massive debt from every bill collector, just owing everybody, and credit cards just so much. And so I decided to start there. I decided to just start whittling down my debt. And then I just started also getting outside more. I had one of the people that still plays a vital role in my life is my cousin, where I can remember every single day for a year and a half, he would talk with me on the phone and I would walk, because I had to get outside of the house. I had to do something. And that something was just talk and walk. And so, he would do that with me, talk to me at least an hour every single day. And what I needed at that time was someone to believe in me, because I lacked belief in myself. And so during that time, as I was, walking and just, trying to find work, and I can remember it was such a despair during that time. I had 4 part-time jobs and still could not make ends meet. And at this time, I'm like, I don't understand. I have a bachelor's degree, at that time, why can't I get a job? And it was just very desperate times. So I decided to do some more walking. And then, for some reason, my roommate and we split. I got my own place, still couldn't, I just was struggling so bad. And again, I said, well, let me just try to do something. So I had, a part-time job working with AT&T and some other places. And I can remember my apartment got broken into, and I said, geez. And I was just very much on the verge of being homeless. It was just so rough. I can remember during that time I lived in my apartment, I could barely afford to eat. And so when I say barely afford to eat, that means my breakfast every morning was just a package of oatmeal. My lunch was a bologna sandwich, and my dinner was ramen noodles. So I lived like that for about a year before my place was broken into. And then I moved to another place in Atlanta, in Georgia, where I had a roommate. And so that offered me an opportunity to, get myself back on my feet. I was able to get, a decent job working for a nonprofit organization. And I was able to start making a dent into my debt. And I decided to go back to school. And I decided to go back to school for accounting, because I wasn't going to go back to school. And I said, well, if I'm going to be a CPA, an accountant, I have to go back to school to sit for the exams. So I went back to school, and so I decided to go to more of a public universal school. I went to DeVry University because I did not want to have my education interrupted again like it did the last 2 times, because I really had thought about moving back to DC because I didn't like Atlanta, Georgia. I was like, it's just too spread out. It seems segregated. It just wasn't what I was used to growing up in the North. And so as I, went on, I was making I was making great progress, but then, something hit. My roommate wasn't paying the rent. So I had to move out. And I was like, how does this happen? She wasn't paying the rent. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And so I did eventually get my own place again. And I still struggled, that's what it was. But I can remember I got my own place. And then after you have my own place, I got another roommate. And again, I was able to successfully still continue my education and, make dent into my my debt that I had created. But at that time, I can remember I was going to the gym. And so I started going to the gym. I remember I would grab a magazine with me that I saw the ladies on the cover. And I was like, oh, okay, well, they look interesting or whatever like that. Let me see what they're doing. And so I would take the magazines with me, and I would be all proud of myself because I did what they did. And amazingly, I felt better. It wasn't because of, getting all fit or anything like that, but I felt better because I was finally taking care of myself. I was finally feeling confident. And so that's where the confidence started to come in. So I can remember one day, a gentleman came up to me at the gym. He was like, have you ever thought about doing a bodybuilding competition? I said, well, no, but I'm game. I'll do it. And so I got introduced to, one trainer, and they said, nah, I can't necessarily help you because, your body I can't do anything with your body, meaning like he couldn't train me to be seen on stage as a winner. And then I went to another trainer, and that didn't work out. And so I started losing hope I started to lose that hope in, okay, well, maybe I'm just not meant to do this. And I just felt discouraged. And so and I can remember the last person I went to, he's my trainer, and I love him for it, which helped me get me into actually being a personal trainer was, I said, hey, other people saying, my legs are too big and, I'm not gonna look right on stage. And what he said to me, and I was like, I don't know if you can help me or not. And the one thing that he said to me was, yeah, it's no problem. And that's what I needed. And so I noticed that throughout the theme of my life was I needed someone to believe in me so I can believe in myself. So over time, we did the training, and I did the competition, and I placed third, which I was surprisingly surprised because I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I've asked myself, well, what would happen if I did do it? And so I did do that, and it was great. It just boosted my confidence, and I just loved the way that I was able to sculpt my body. I did have some hiccups along the way with that, where I went through a breakup, and I'm like, okay, well, how do I? So, and I was, of course, faced with another decision. Do I continue this training, or do I just, say forget it and deal with these emotions? And so I decided to continue the training. And the reason why I decided to continue training is because I knew that one day I would have to reach back and, grab that strength. And so I'm glad that I did, because when I put myself through that physically, it helped me mentally. So over time, I said, oh, I like this. And then I decided to train started running. And I can remember the first time I ran, I was only able to run for like 30 seconds. And it was just really pitiful. And so now, from 30 seconds to 4 hours and 30 minutes. And so I had an opportunity to run, a half marathon. And then comes to the time and point in my life where, kind of also a tragic mess where I was drinking a lot. And I couldn't handle my drinking to the point where I would just black out and forget, just forget where I was or who I was with and how I even got home. And then I did another bodybuilding competition. I don't know how I got through that because I was definitely drinking. And I also did a marathon. I don't know how I got through that. I was definitely drinking. But, as time got worse for me going through my drinking, I was at the crossroad of losing a relationship. And so I decided to stop drinking to save the relationship. Well, the relationship wasn't saved. And so I said, let me try this for a year. Let me try not drinking for a year to see if I can, save my relationship, see if I can get the person back. So after a year, I didn't get the person back. And so I was faced with another crossroad of, okay, now what do I do? Do I go back to drinking, or do I just continue on this sober lifestyle? And so I made the choice to continue on with my sober lifestyle. So I have over 4 years now of sobriety. But it wasn't easy to put the drink down for me, because that was always my comfort. That was like my best friend. And for me now to just put that down and find other ways of coping with life, or just dealing with life, or celebrating life. And so it's been wonderful. Just to kind of go back a little bit, I got into personal training. I've trained at some gyms, and then I decided to go out on my own as far as training people. And the wonderful thing that I absolutely love about being with people is that giving them hope, helping them find ways to celebrate themselves. And that's truly, truly important. A lot of my clients that come to me, they come to me with oh, I want to lose weight, but there's actually something much more deeper. The weight is what they physically see. That's the tangible thing, but what's actually really going on. And so I have the opportunity to coach people, not just, women, but just people and men as well, to really dig in deep into, okay, what's really going on, and what can we do to uncover it, and what can we do to break whatever bondages that you have, and also break whatever limiting beliefs that you have about yourself. Look at your relationship with food, from when you were a childhood, and is that affecting you now? And if so, what can we do about it? Like I said before, it's been such a pleasure to be able to work with people, especially women who are in the menopausal stage of life, where they've lost their energy, they're feeling lack of confidence, they may not feel worthy. And so that's where I'm able to come in and be their accountability partner in helping them, boost their metabolism, helping them to lose weight, helping them have energy, just showing up for themselves. And so that's been such a great pleasure and a joy to, use my own experience and my own testimony to be able to, help them to get to where they want to be. And that's just to show up for themselves, look good, and feel better. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if you was going to ask me questions or what, so I just went rambling.
Oh, no. I mean, those are really important story. And the world of women was just meant for that. The reason I invite people to this live podcast is so that we all can come together in a comfortable platform and share our story, however comfortable we feel sharing it. And I am so blown away by your openness, by your sincerity. And I must say, you are the real deal. Yes, you are. Your story needs to be on Facebook and web, in fact, what do you call that? Social media. Because many women, men, young people need to hear your story and know that, yes, you can. And yes, it's not going to be 100% all the time. What I'm hearing from your story is you are one of us, a wounded healer. And we just cannot heal people without us being in touch with who we are, what our journeys are, because nobody can appear to you or look at you, how pretty you are, and they're like, oh my goodness, she got it all together. But now that you're unpacking your life story, we know that that is not true. And none of us has got it all together. Nobody. If anybody tells you they have, stay away from them. That's all I can say, because they're not being realistic. We are all in the journey of healing ourselves and reaching out to the world. The more we heal ourselves, the more we are healing the world. And look at that. You made that commitment. You decided to heal yourself. Look at all of us here now listening to you. If you did not take that step and maybe faltered, and then pick yourself up again and say, yes, I can do this. And then you faltered a little bit, you're just being human. You are the perfect woman I like to have on my podcast, because guess what? You're touching the world by touching yourself. And I'm sure everybody has a question for you. So let's just get into it. Please ask here your questions, because she is, for me, the ideal woman of the 21st century. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so please unmute if you have any questions, comments.
I congratulate you, yeah, because we should all phone Steven Spielberg in the morning and get him to make a film about your
Yes.
triumph over adversity. You know, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just
Yes.
amazing the way you kept going down and come back up again. You know, that is just, so there's something within you genetically that you knew you had to keep going, you know, and keep going. You didn't stay down, you know, you got up again. Incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hannah, you want to say something?
Yes, you're incredible. I want to pronounce your name correctly. It's what
Yeah, a
is
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, a star. Just so inspirational. You know, just, yeah, you need, write your story. I mean, I know what it's like. I'm writing my story, but you know, the purpose of us writing our stories is to make a difference in other people's lives, to know that they're not alone, that it's okay to feel this way, but you can pick yourself up. And we make a difference in other people's lives by what we say and what they hear. You know, a word can change someone just by saying a few words. You can change someone's life. But you are an inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're doing coaching now? You're still doing your training?
Yeah, so that's what I do. So now I do coaching, and so I offer an opportunity for people to work with me for 3 months, just looking at, you know, what is their overall goal and setting up different milestones. So I have weekly coaching calls with them, do personal training with them as well, create meal plans as well as fitness plans, and, you know, just really being very strategic about how to go about achieving that results. But it goes, like I said before, it goes beyond weight, because that's the tangible thing, but the intangible is how you feel about yourself. And so finding ways to celebrate themselves through each milestone. So not just focusing on the overall goal, but how would you like to celebrate your milestone? And what does that look like? And for some of my clients, it's a massage, it's getting new pairs of shoes, or spending a spa day, that kind of thing. So, you know, how do you celebrate yourself? And that's something that I had to learn too with my coaches, because I'm such a hard driven person and have these high expectations of myself. And she says, well, she asked me, how do you celebrate yourself? And it can't be food. And I'm like, well, I don't know. You know, it can't be food. And so, you know, that's something now I work with my clients on, is how can you celebrate yourself? You know, just even every day, how do you look at your successes? And I still go through my ebbs and flows, but I feel like my ebbs and flows have a purpose to it. Like there are days where, you know, as an, you know, solopreneur, that, you know, some days are great. And then there's days where I'm like, I'm crashing and burning. So how do I get myself out of that? And so now I decide to surround myself with, you know, women who can support me. And that's what I totally need, is I need that support, because I have done life by myself for so long. And now I welcome that support.
Absolutely. And you make a difference in their lives, because we're all connected.
Yeah.
And we
yeah.
all need, we all need each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, and just sharing my story, there was a time when I did my first bodybuilding competition, and once, your body goes back to normal after doing such a competition. And for a year, I did not like my body. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror because I just didn't like myself. So just imagine, not looking at any of the mirrors in your house, only just to, brush your teeth in your face and not
Yeah.
looking down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, finally, but that was a struggle for me, was that body image, and then finally
Mhm.
accepting and love myself just the way that I am. And so that's a journey too, was
Yes.
how can I love myself just as I am today? Well, I didn't get, so so I'm 45 now, but that didn't happen until I was 44. So I go through life, going through all these expectations, looking at social media and trying to meet this person's expectation or that person's expectations, and then having these high standards for myself. And since I was never told I was, you good, congratulations, I always felt like I was never good enough. So when you lead a life of you're never good enough, you set these high standards, and then you fall below them, and then you have these blueprints, and you try to, off yourself because, I haven't met my blueprint again. I haven't met my blueprint for my life. And so at the age of 37, I stopped having blueprints because obviously they're not coming to pass. And so how do I now live life without a blueprint? Well, I have no idea. And so that's where I just started partying, hanging out, drinking, all these kind of things, just being very promiscuous, all of this. And so it's just that journey of just finding who I am. And that's the question, who am I really? And so that's the question I help my clients find for themselves. Who are you?
Right.
Well, I know you're a mom. I know you're a teacher. I know you're a professor. I know you're a nurse. I know you're a doctor. I know you're an aunt, this, that, and the other, but who are you?
Right.
And what will be your word? What will be your theme?
Right.
And it's so important for you to live out your theme unapologetically.
Right.
Because, we're just not promised, like, it's so true. We're not promised tomorrow. And so how are you going to live your life today? And so that's what I want to encourage people, by sharing my story, sharing my experience. Like I said, I never thought I would live past 18, and here I am at 45, and so how do you go about living your life today? What changes are you, making? How are you making an impact, not only on yourself, but the others that you come in contact with? How are you serving people?
Exactly.
Yeah, can I just ask a question about we're brought up and we go wrong, as you did. You made all sorts of mistakes. And did you feel an enormous amount of shame? And then you decided, I don't care what others think anymore. I just don't care. And now I can talk about it. And I even care less about it. So now I'm empowered. So now is empowered.
Right.
You're going today without criticizing yourself, and tomorrow without criticizing yourself, and how powerful do you think that is, that we are brought up to feel bad about being bad? We're living in shame.
Well, the shame comes from childhood. So, and that's why it's so key to how you speak to those who are young. For me, I like to say, I wasn't spoken much life into. I was told what I should be and how I should grow up and what my life should be. And so because I wasn't, spoken life into, I just didn't feel anything for me. And so I felt like the only way to receive love and acceptance was to do what other people wanted me to do. And that includes family. So if I do this, maybe they'll love me more. But no matter what I did, it was never enough. And so finally, but this was such a struggle for me for years. It definitely wasn't overnight. It took decades. And I say 2 decades for me to finally say, you know what, I'm willing to risk it all in order to live for myself. And when I say risk it all, the family, friends, everything, job, everything, I'm willing to risk it all in order to, live my truth. And so first of all, I had to figure out what my truth was. So what is your truth? How do you live? Who are you? And so I had to figure that out before I can just, hit the flame on the bridge and flame on, because I want to know what my life is like without living according to someone else's, expectations for me. And I know they mean well. Of course they mean well. They just want me to be successful. But what if I had tried something like this? I'm very fortunate where I do have a career, a background in, finance and accounting. So I could, if something were to, fall apart, I can always go back to that, but I don't want to go back to that. And so for me, it's very important that I empower myself because there are people waiting for me. And that's what someone told me was, you have to forge ahead because someone is waiting for you. And so I say that to everyone here too, whatever you're going through and whatever you're pursuing, don't stop going towards it because someone is waiting for you. Someone's waiting to hear your voice. Someone's waiting to hear your story. And there are several people that I know, had they not shared their story, I probably wouldn't still be moving forward. And so even now I'm going through my own personal struggles, as I'm growing my practice. Okay, well, is this really for me and what's going on? How am I feeling? Well, I have to be okay with being okay. Now, I don't have to just do all this hustling and everything else that, people say. What would happen if you didn't hustle? What would happen if you just showed up? What would happen if you just so happened to be? If you didn't struggle, if you didn't fight yourself all the time, what would happen? What would your life look like? Who would you impact? And so now my question, because before it was about serving myself, what can I get out of it for me? Now it's, how can I serve others? And so that's how I want to live the second half of my life, is continually serving others. It doesn't always have to be for profit. Sometimes I would love to be able to serve others just because. Sometimes people just need encouragement. Sometimes people just need that connection. Sometimes people need to feel empowered. And so how can I go about doing that? How can I share what I have in my experience to empower others? Well, I have to be transparent. I have to show up on podcasts and share, hey, this is my truth. This is what happened.
That's what you need to do. Sometimes that's, most times that's all we need to do. Just show up and share. Some people think that you really, really have to do this and do that. No, it's like when we talk about love.
Yeah.
We make things complicated as human beings, honestly, including myself. We make it so complicated that you're really wondering, when you come to the end of it, you're like, wow, why did I really make it? I really made it so complicated, and it wasn't meant to be. And I'm going to share example is this podcast. When Kat mentioned it to me, even though for years now, I've been longing to kind of speak my truth, share my story. I was looking for an outlet to do that. And I know I've been sharing that on different platforms, but something in me is still saying there are some group that you're not reaching yet. I know women are one of them, but I'm like, how do I do it? When I was thinking about this, I never met Kat, never had any conversations about it. And one day we started talking about something totally different. And he came up with this idea. I'm like, oh my goodness, it sounded like you put words into my thoughts. This is what I've been longing for, but I didn't know how to go about it. And then when he suggested it, I'm like, what? But now, how am I really supposed to appear? What am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to start this? One might say to me, stop overthinking this, just show up, just show up. And honestly, my first presentation was like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to tell the world my story. And little did I know that there were people who were listening and got back to me and said, you have really encouraged me by sharing your story. And I'm like, really? Yeah. So I have realized that we don't have to make it so complicated. Life is not that complicated, but we do complicate it to our own detriment, unfortunately. So I'm learning from you today, and I hope everybody's listening to you, that when we really show up and believe, because the other thing I heard you say is that, especially those times that you were struggling, you were like, God, what do you want me to do? God, I need your help, God. So there's that faith, there's that trust in the higher power, whatever that higher power is for you. You trust, you keep going. That inner strength comes. So unless one recognizes that inner power, that inner strength we have, and always go back to draw from it, you're not going to really go too far. I'm so glad today you're here with us sharing this beautiful story. And I am also going to let it out and ask people, do you guys want to still have, do you have more questions for Yasta? Please ask her.
Could I put my details in the chat if
please do.
yeah,
we want
wants
everybody to put their
contact me,
details.
because
Yeah.
it would be just, I would love to be in contact with her,
Yes.
so,
She's an awesome lady, and we really need people like her in this world, because sometimes when I talk to my women, they're like, oh, I did this, I did that, this didn't work, that didn't work, and I tend to give up. Listening to your story will tell you that never give up, because it's not over. It's only when you give up, then it's over for you. Yeah. So let's just learn from your story today and get connected. I am really encouraging my women out there to please, this is an exemplary woman that we want to emulate, we want to get in touch with, we want to learn from. So I wanted to ask you a question. How do you support some women who come to you feeling frightened, feeling shameful for whatever they have done in the past? How have you really, supported them to get to where you are, or even close?
Well, I asked them, what's going on in your world right now, but then also, so importantly, what happened in your childhood, because a lot of the things that we're experiencing now as adults, we experienced as a child and didn't get resolved. So like for me, just to be totally transparent, and maybe this may help a listener or someone who was watching, I was raped when I was 13. And so that affected me, that affected my intimate relationships going forward. So, and so I never understood why, for me, just to, why I would just always say, it'll be over soon. So you're going through all these different type of intimate relationships and you're not connected in any type of way. And you're saying to yourself, it'll be over soon. And you're waiting for it to be over soon. And so, and then you become also frightened too, because you didn't resolve that. And so when you're frightened, let's talk about why you're frightened. But it's so important to know, it's so important for me to share. If there's something that I have in common with them from my past, I'll share it. And it's so important to let them know you're not alone. I too have experienced this. And this is what I've done. And this is how it's helped me in my life. But it's so important for them to know that they're not alone. Whatever I can do to comfort my clients. If that means I've got to reach out to them daily, then that's what I do. It's so important for me, for people to know that they're not alone, because I felt alone my whole entire life. And I don't ever want anyone to ever experience being alone. Like even when I go into a room, if I see somebody in a corner by themselves, I'm going to walk up to them and have a conversation. But you don't have to be frightened. You just have to share. This is where I am and I need help. And, you know, and if I'm there with them in person, I'll just hold on to them. Sometimes people just need a hug. That's all I ever wanted was a hug. But because I didn't get it as a child, and because, you know, it was something that I needed, I would latch on to women for that affection that I needed that I never got it from my mom. And so now I'm frightened because I'm frightened to share. Well, let's talk about that and why you're afraid, you know, and find someone that you trust, or either talk to a therapist or, you know, psychologist or whomever. But you don't have to be frightened. It's very scary where you're at right now. But if you just share with one person, I promise you, it will lead you to showing up your best self. But you have to start with sharing with where you're at and just trusting, and just trust that it's all a part of your story, because someone else is waiting to hear your story.
Yeah, you are absolutely a star. You are definitely a role model for women everywhere. I absolutely love hearing another individual talking about childhood and how much it does affect our adult life. This is a path I'm on as well, learning and understanding about childhood and really how much it affects our lives. And I also love that you look at people as individuals and you realize everyone's different and not everyone's going to have the same path or plan. Yeah, you're amazing. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, very inspiring. When I read a little bit of the or heard part of the way, I was like, well, that's a lot. But she made it through, and
And plenty more to go through. Plenty more to go
Right.
through. Not as my coach would say, no pain is wasted. And so that's what I see now is, you know, no pain is wasted. And just know that you can free yourself from that childhood. I never understood why I behaved the way that I did. And when I stopped drinking and start really looking at myself, it made a world of difference. So now I started my healing process when I was 40. And so now I've still got some more to go through. And there's still times where things, you know, pop up. But I know that if I just hold on in this moment, if I can just hold on in this moment, or even just hold on just for 24 hours, because I tell you, there are still times where I'm like, ugh, I'm like, okay, just give it 24 hours. Just give it 24 hours before you make any decision. Before you make any, just give it 24 hours.
And that's really, you're right. That being patient, a little bit of patience really goes a long way. And we know as humans, that 1 minute of patience feels like 20 years. And you're like, I can't stand it. But just know that that too shall pass. Yeah. And it does pass. And a lot of people like you are telling us, yes, it does pass. And you are a witness to that. So I am so, so happy that you joined us this evening to share your story. And through sharing your story, you're teaching us. And what is important is our awareness of when some of those negative thoughts creep in, that we are aware, because we're caught off guard when we are not aware. But as long as we retain that awareness, we are always winners. Because then you say, oh yeah, here you come again. I see you. You know what? I'm gonna just wait.
Yeah.
And things really seem different after you wait for a little bit. Things change, and you're like, wow, it wasn't really as bad as I thought. But at the moment, it became so monumental that you're like, that's the only thing you see in your life. That huge challenge, but just wait. Wait with faith, with prayer, with being gentle with yourself. All things shall be well. So anybody has any more comment, please, or question before we wrap it up? And always remember, please, I appreciate you guys coming. Always remember to invite your friends, especially our women. I know that you guys love this podcast because it's meant for women. And I am pleased asking us to invite our friends. Share this with your friends and family, and let people listen to your story and learn. Learn from a situation that sounded impossible. But what happened between faith, God, and determination? Here she is today as a star. I am so proud of you. And I pray and hope and wish you the best as you serve as an instrument for other women to learn, to change, to be fully who they're created to be. Next week, we'll be having one of our friends, Heather Ann, coming back to us to again educate, share, and encourage, support us to keep going, because it's possible, and yes, we can. Together, we can support one another. Together, we can enrich one another. And that's what life is all about. So let's keep growing this group and see you next week. And please stay happy and healthy. Anybody else has something to add before we say goodnight?
Thank you for
Yes.
inviting me. I'm the only male here, but look.
No, you're not. You're not. We have about 3 of you here.
But listen, that doesn't bother me at all, because I told you the story about my mother when she was a widow at a very young age, and she fought the good fight, you know, and raised her family and got into politics and was agitating for women and a better deal and their rights and all that kind of thing. So this is where I've got this alignment with, I think, women as we spoke, I think it was yesterday, we spoke about that. I said women were more responsible than men generally now, because they end up looking after children with special needs, aging parents, and I don't know, there's an imbalance, you know, I don't know. So a lot of men wouldn't agree with that. I've got into trouble for saying things like that, you know. But I think things are changing, hopefully for the better. But women standing out, banging the table, and
Yes.
but this is not right, you know. We have a life too, you know. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. And you're always invited, Patrick, to join us. And you're going to one day also share your story, especially in connection with your mom. Because, yes, we want to hear that story.
Oh, yeah, I'd like that.
Yes.
It's the clocks are going to change again. So when we meet again, it could be at 1 a.m, you know.
Right. I know.
But listen, I'll work on that one, you know.
Yes, yes. Patrick is joining us from Ireland. For those of you that didn't know,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah. So
Well,
that's
listen,
really early,
Okay.
late for him now,
Great.
but we're glad
don't
he's
forget,
here.
St.
Across the
Patrick's
pond.
Day is on Thursday. So
Yeah.
I am St.
Yes.
Patrick on that day, you know.
Yes, we'll think about you. We pray for you and pray with
Thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, Yersta. Thank you, Emily, Amanda, Hannah,
Everybody could
Dr.
put
Ma.
their
Thank
everybody could put their
you.
social media pages in the chat or contact info in the chat. That would be
Yes,
lovely.
please.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
do you
Thanks,
know how
Edith.
to copy our chart? Does everyone know how to copy it?
No.
If you go down to your right hand side, there's a place that the three dots, click on it. It shows save chart. You click on the save chart and it saves it to your computer. But please remember where it's gonna save it so you can find it later. So on your right hand side,
Yeah.
okay, the three dots, hit the three dots.
Wait a
Then you
minute.
see where it's, you found it?
The raise hand and there's three dots.
Yes, click on the three dots.
That's all right. Yeah. No, it's just, I'm sorry.
It's over there by where you see chat, you see like a paper, then a smiley face, and then there's three dots.
Wait a second. Chat.
And
Yeah,
then go,
but wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you're muted.
When I click on it, what comes up is all the the smiley faces.
go next to it, you'll see three dots.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Oh, okay. And just
And then-
tap on it, right?
Save,
Yeah,
save
click.
chat.
Save
Oh.
chat.
Okay. Okay. All right, fine. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.